I had just turned 12 years old, and we were heading to what would become one of my favorite vacations growing up. My dad had an old B&B class wood boat with an Evinrude motor on it. We had got it loaded and got in the truck and drove to the ferry in Anacortes, Washington. We rode the ferry for about an hour and a half before arriving at Orcas Island. My dad had gotten us a house to stay in for a whole week. The house was huge. We four kids had our own end of the house that we could play and be loud and not have to worry about my parents who were on the other end of the house. The house was on the water, but it was up on this large bluff. There was a boathouse down on the water. You had to walk down these bunch of stairs to get down there. As soon as I could, I set off exploring. I ran down the stairs and I went into the boathouse to see what was there. There was a little rowboat and a few crab traps. So I decided I would get some of those crab traps and catch some crab for dinner. After running back up to the house to get some bait, I pushed off the shore and headed out to the cove to set the trap. Now, I could only set one trap because really I only had enough rope or found enough rope to do the one. So I tied the rope to the trap and put the bait in there and then let it down to the bottom. And then I tied the buoy up on top so I would know where the trap was. And then I rode back and went and played around for a while because I knew that trap was going to have to sit overnight. I was so excited the next morning. I sprang out of bed and headed down to the boathouse to get my catch. As I'm going down the stairs, I look out into that little cove for my buoy, and I was total shock. It was gone. My heart sank. What happened to it? Did I not tie the knots correctly, or did someone come and steal the crab trap? Had one of my family members come and already bring it in? In fact, I kind of hoped it was the last one, so I went down to the boathouse and opened up the boathouse, hopefully to find the crab trap and that buoy there, but it wasn't there. So what did I do? I think, what most 12-year-olds would do. I just kept my mouth shut. I thought maybe no one will notice it was ever missing. And so all day I stressed. Inside my head, I'm thinking, what if this? What if that? It literally ruined my whole day. But that next evening, I was heading down those same stairs to the cove, and I noticed that my buoy was still there. And then it dawned on me what took place. I had placed that crab trap out at low tide, and then the tide rose, and the weight of the crab trap pulled the buoy underneath the water. Now, believe me, I was completely relieved, but only after it had ruined my whole day. Listen to James's words in verses 5 and 8 here in chapter 1. He says, "But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him." But, these words are important, but when you ask, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do. Now, for me, when I was a 12-year-old, my immaturity as a 12-year-old kept me from doing anything when I had found out the trap was lost. Why didn't I just ask my dad for help? After all, he had both the knowledge and the tools to help. But I was scared I was going to get in trouble, and ultimately, I didn't believe that telling my dad would help. I was divided. I believe that if I did believe, I would have done something. This is what James is really saying. If you believe God, then you will go to him first. The action of faith always turns to God first. Why? Because God is your anchor. So I want you to calibrate this way by asking for forgiveness for being divided, and then ask the Heavenly Father to help you to turn to him the first sign of trouble. Then remind yourself that he loves you and he wants to help you. So until next time, remember, don't just take life as it comes, calibrate and shape it as you go. Thank you for following Calibrate. Share it with someone you know. Take a moment and review us and give us a good rating on iTunes, Google Play, Facebook, or YouTube.